Here we are again at Scuderia Silva, and today we're looking for fuel smell problem. He's got gas fumes that sometimes come inside the car. He says when he opens the trunk he can smell fuel, and so we're going to trace that down. I've taken the spare tire out of the way. We always want to cover our safety issues. Make sure your car's on a jack stand if it's up in the air. This one's not up in the air in the back. Always take off the ground for the battery. Conveniently, I had that ready to go. Now we're gonna move this is the rod that holds the tire down in this car. This is a 67 BJ8. Let's take out the, well, we can't quite get that out yet. Well, yeah, we can, there we go. Okay. We're gonna take this cover out, the trunk mat. I'm gonna check out the whole system. I can smell fuel right from here. I'm going to take this panel off. That is the cover for the filler neck. Filler neck's actually up here. I don't know. I'm hoping you can see it's right here. And so we want to see if we can't find out what's going on. Typically on a fuel leak like this, you're going to have one of a couple things happen. There'll be a loose clamp right here. Or this is the filler hose. So typically you'll have a leak in the hose, some leak in this pipe, or the clamps are loose. None of that is the case. These look real good, and I can move it a little bit, but it's not. That's not going to be the issue. I've seen issues here many times. Typically the issue is going to be concerned with somewhere around the sender over here. Always protect the car. Seems obvious. In case you drop something. Not supposed to drop any tools, but you might. Take your snap-on wrench. I want to make sure that this fitting's tight here. That fitting is very tight. We do not need to tighten that. As I'm looking at this right here, you can't see it, but I can see there's been fuel around here. There's a big film of it. He says that when he fills up the tank is when he really notices the bigger fuel smell, and then as the tank bleeds off and he spends the fuel, the smell is not as harsh. So what's going on is I've seen this before. There's a leak in the fuel sender unit, and it's actually through the electrical connector, believe it or not. The screws were tight onto the tank, but that electrical connection right there, the fuel was coming right through that, which is not great. And so I could see a big puddle where it actually had a fuel mark. So it could have had maybe a half a cup or a quarter of a cup of fuel sitting right on top there. And I can see it's been running around in here. This is an aluminum fuel tank. This is fancy action. The fuel tanks rot out of these all the time. And but our connection over here is good. Our connection here is good. This is the only other hole in the tank. We can see them all right there. So what we're going to do is get a fuel sender, and we'll zip that one out. And so I'm going to just go to it. We take out all these screws. It's about 6. And we have to take off the connection to for the electrical. And we should be getting close. Okay, now we don't want to have anything fall in the tank. That would be bad berries. And so there's the screw, or I'm sorry, the nut, and then there's also a washer on here. And then I'm going to take the wire over here and we'll just shove that off to the side. Remember, we've disconnected the battery, so we're not worried about any of that. And we're going to lift this out of here like that. And wow, holy Moses, look at that. I don't know if you can see it. There's there's fuel inside the float. So the float's leaking, and it's got fuel inside there, so that tank's not running right anyway. I mean, that gauge. No smoking. Yeah, that's a beautiful tank. So I'm going to take this and very carefully wipe around the outside of the tank. I mean the lid here. The tank lid. Making sure I don't get, try not to get anything in there. Invariably a little bit's going to fall in there. Now we have our gasket here. And I always use Permatex. They call it PermaShield. And it's number 85420 for the home team. And this is fuel resistant. This is the only stuff that works. They call it some other name too. But anyway, you take a light coating of this on each side of the gasket. And so I'm going to coat this up, get it set on here, and then I'm going to, well, we'll just come back as soon as I have the gasket on it. Okay, you can see how nicely I've spread that blue goo around the the fuel tank. Now we're going to you let this stuff set up for a while. You just put a thin coating, nice coating on it. And then we're going to set this right exactly where it goes. And we're going to line up the holes exactly. Then we're going to put the screws back in right now to make sure that that gasket's in the right spot. And then I'm going to put the blue goo on the top there. And that's not our new one, that's our old one. Here's our new fuel sender. And so I'm going to take the electrical connector off here. That's for the wire. I'm going to take the washer off. And I've already taken the float here off, and I put it in a glass of water, tall glass of water, and then I set another glass on top of it to submerge it. And I left it there for an hour. There's no water in this one. It's got blue crap on this one, but that's alright. So anyway, so we're going to seal this one down. We're also going to check, it's got a gasket right here. These things leak all the time. And so I'm going to make sure that these are torqued down very nicely. Because I don't want that leaking either. I'm not going to take it apart and put the blue goo on it, because that cork should work, and I'm not even going to take it apart, but I do want to just make sure they're properly tightened. And then we're going to offer this up in here. It's going to go in like that, and then it's going to sit down, and we're going to line up the holes just like that, like it was, and away you go. So that's the look, and that's how you do, this happens to be an Austin-Healey 1967 3000 BJ8, but this is how you do almost any fuel tank sender in any automobile. So that's how we roll. And now you got the scoop on sniffing down a fuel smell in a trunk, and that is a real dangerous thing. You smell fuel, you want to get that taken care of right away, because you're in harm's way when you smell that. Over and out, Portland, Oregon. Cloudy weather, about to have a thunderstorm. Hey, Scuderia Silva here, and yeah, see, we're here. We fixed the sender unit over there that was leaking really badly, and so I just wanted to take one more minute and talk about how we tighten down the fasteners on that. So you can see my orange snap-on screwdriver right there. It's got a little gear set in it. We want to look at those gaskets. That's bottom gasket with the blue goo on it in the bottom there. I'm going to just take a towel with some paint thinner and go around that and clean that up a little tiny bit, but it's not bad. But we just set that gasket down. You're only putting about maybe 2 or 4 pounds on it. So I've got the correct size number 2 screwdriver bit. And I got it on forward, and I've already done the other ones, but when you run these down, you want to look. I've made contact there. I want it to go tight, but I do not want to bulge that gasket at all. I just want it down. And so that one's perfect, and then this other one, I'm gonna run that down, and and don't skip like that either. That strips everything out and tears up your bit. Just like that is plenty. And then, of course, we're going to hook up our wire. Wire will go back in there like that. And I'll throw the interior back together, and no more fuel smell.